The Communist NVA and their Viet Cong allies soon learned that they couldn't compete in the field against the superior firepower of the United States and the other Allied forces. In response, they adopted a guerrilla strategy, striking out at their more ponderous foes before melting back into the dense undergrowth of the Vietnamese jungle. The intense vegetation wasn't enough for concealment, though, as the Americans utilized some of the most advanced surveillance and reconnaissance methods available at the time. In order to avoid detection, the VC and NVA constructed an elaborate network of underground tunnels, giving them a refuge from the overwhelming might of their enemies. The tunnels utilized by the Viet Cong were first dug by the Viet Minh, Vietnamese nationalists fighting against French colonial rule in the aftermath of World War II. A decade later, during the American involvement, the tunnel network expanded, covering hundreds of miles and multiple districts, some even stretched into neighboring Cambodia. For example, the Cu Chi tunnel system north of Saigon had 130 miles of passages. Some of the tunnels were simple burrows dug into the soil, while others were complex, multi-layered constructions with specialized compartments for various purposes. As the main purpose of the tunnels was concealment, emphasis was placed on hiding the tunnel entrances. These access points could be located at seemingly random locations in the jungle, but were often located in villages, placed under cooking pots in homes, buried under sacks of rice, or other out-of-the-way locations. When the Americans started using dogs to sniff out the entrances, the openings would be placed in pig corrals and covered in manure, the scent throwing off the search. These entrances were tiny, further limiting access, sometimes being less than 2 feet in diameter. Entry points could also be located underwater, requiring a swim to access, something heavily laden Americans would find impossible. Ventilation shafts would likewise be camouflaged under shrubbery, allowing fresh air to circulate while keeping the tunnels a secret. The VC and NVA would often live in the tunnels during the day, venturing out at night for military operations, intelligence gathering, or to gather crops or supplies. While underground, they made use of the many subterranean facilities that were carved into the soil. Though often used to move troops without detection, there were many facilities for long-term stays underground. There were sleeping quarters, often consisting of multi-layered hammocks to save space. There were also medical facilities for patching up wounded soldiers. These would be lined with salvaged American parachutes in an attempt to keep out bacteria that was ever present in the damp soil. Small-scale weapon production facilities would manufacture everything from improvised landmines to punji stakes. Other areas served as armories for weapons, supply caches, kit